This is absolutely shocking. What happened in Hyderabad could have been prevented. The German bakery blast in Pune could have been prevented. The Zaveri Bazar blast in Mumbai could have been prevented. The Chinnaswamy blasts in Bangalore could have been prevented. Also the Jama Masjid blast in Delhi. More than 400 lives have been lost because of the activities of the Indian Mujahideen, masterminded by Yasin Bhatkal, who was in an Indian prison for 1 month, and we didn't know who the man was. We let him go, he jumped bail, and now he's been organizing terror activities ever since. India is paying dearly because state police is not talking to the center police. We simply don't know what is happening, and this one instance which is being broken by Ashish Khaitan really reflects the state of counter-terror operations in our country. Joining us on the center stage face-off this evening, we've got Dr. Kiran Bedi, we've got Madhu Gaur Yashki of the Congress Party, Siddharth Singh from the BJP, and Dr. Ajay Kumar, Member of Parliament, is also with us. I want to go across first to Dr. Kiran Bedi. Dr. Bedi, this is very, very shocking. It's the biggest intelligence botch-up. Yasin Bhatkal, it now turns out, was in Alipur prison in November 2009, and nobody in our security establishment knew who he was.
That's true. We have an Indian police service. That's the unitary element of our federal system. Indian system is part federal, part unitary. And the fact that Indian police service was conceived to bring in the unitary element of Indian policing. But you don't see that happening because there is no hub, there is no coordinator. First of all, in fact, one police station does not know the other police station.
Pathetic.
Forget about the state and forget about the nation. The point is we need to put our systems in place where once a person is arrested, his fingerprinting, his dossier is made and put on the computer. So that if I find it through a fingerprint or through a biometrics or through a name or through a crime, I should be able to get on my computer. The world, we export technology to the world, but we do not use technology in crime prevention ourselves. Our policing is most outdated when it comes to technology use. Therefore, all I would say is these are all failures of coordination, absence of lack of technology, absence of training, by which we continue to lose lives. We continue to lose lives. It's all at the cost of lives. We don't have a coordinated hub when it comes to technology, sharing of information. It's competitive policing. In India, it is ignorant and competitive policing.
Madhu Gaur Yashki, what can possibly be said in defense of a government that arrests the mastermind of the Indian Mujahideen, keeps him in prison for a month and lets him go because they don't know who he was? Would this ever happen with Osama bin Laden, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, or anybody else the Americans was looking for? Madhu?
Yeah, Rahul, first listen to what Mr. Kiran Bedi has said. A distinguished police officer, served throughout her life, and what she has said exactly, that is a systemic problem we are facing here. Law and order comes under state subject. Center is only the Ministry of Home Affairs passing information, but they are not expected to micromanage once information is sent. There is no accountability, there is no coordination between the center and state here. The bearing example which you are mentioning, there is no list of, like the way you look at it in United States, what they have done after September 11, 2001. What kind of
no, Madhu, you are giving us a roll count of problems, but people would like to know. There are 400 people who died. You know, what is it that's been done? How is it that you can pick up the mastermind, the most sought after man in our country right now, and let him go? It's abysmal, it's shocking, it's pathetic.
Then obviously this is a clear failure of the terror intelligence forces here. There is no coordination. As Kiran Bedi says, there is no infrastructure placed in how to coordinate between the intelligence forces, center and state. We are only talking about the government and political parties come up and talk when the incident takes place. I know that area, the group that area, it's like a Karol Bagh kind of area in Dilsunagar, what yesterday the bomb blast taken place. In the last 900 people have been killed in the terror attacks. Over 2,000 people have been injured. India has paid a heavy price with the terror attacks.
India has paid a heavy price because of the inaction and the inability of the government, but you're also blaming the state governments, and I want to bring Siddharth Singh in because the Congress very predictably is saying that in West Bengal we didn't have, it wasn't a Congress government in West Bengal, therefore we are not to blame. Yes, there's been a mistake, but it is as much a part, it is as much a responsibility of what happened with the CPM government that they let him go. Therefore, don't only blame the UPA. Siddharth.
Well, Rahul, I think we should come out of this blame game. And as a nation, we have to stand together.
Absolutely.
The time has come and say zero tolerance and, take things to a stage where we tell the world that no, India is together, all political parties are on the same page. We need to come and then we take it forward. I don't think it's a game that Centre should blame, Congress should blame the CPM should blame. It is a failure of the system. It is a failure of intelligence. It is a failure why we have not been able to coordinate. We understand all this. But from here, are we going to improve, or we are just going to say, okay, this is past, let's wait for another one which will come and then we will talk and give our knee-jerk reaction. I think India needs a better reply. India needs a better reply from all of us as political parties, which is in governance, in states, at centers, oppositions, and we have to take things and tell the world zero tolerance is what we want now.
I'm hearing a lot of platitudes, and that's not enough. Because I want to go across just for a moment to Ashish Khaitan. Ashish, here is a situation where we pick up Yasin Bhatkal. That's of course not his real name.
Yes.
He's in prison.
Yes.
How is it that he got away, and how is it that nobody in the Kolkata police
Yes.
figured out that this was the mastermind of the Indian Mujahideen?
Yeah. One reason why they couldn't figure out, because there is not enough information sharing. There's not enough intelligence sharing. There's a tendency with our security agencies, particularly with our intelligence agencies, to hold on to crucial information. They don't share the information with other agencies because they want to use that information to carry out their own operations and to take credit for subsequent arrests, which may or may not happen. So there's a tendency to not share critical information. So they sit on information. The information is not shared. So the Kolkata police, I spoke to my sources, Kolkata police said that we didn't have Yasin Bhatkal's sketch. We didn't even have his real name. His real name is Ahmed Siddi Papa Zarar. So they didn't even know his real name. They didn't have his sketch. They didn't have his picture. They knew nothing about him. They arrested him. They suspected him to be an important, criminal. They suspected him to be a one who was running a fake currency racket. But he managed to give them a slip. He managed to dupe them.
How did he get bail?
He got bail because eventually he was only booked in a motorcycle theft case. In a motorcycle theft case, he spent 1 month in jail. After that, he got the bail. And since then, we have no clue.
Dr. Ajay Kumar has been a police officer himself before he became a politician. Dr. Ajay Kumar, Ashish says it's competitive policing. Now, Kolkata police has got hold of this man. They don't want to tell their counterparts in Delhi, Mumbai, or the Ministry of Home Affairs, because if they can use his leads to catch a bigger fish, then they get the credit, they get the awards. We can't find terrorism in this fashion, sir.
No, first of all, Rahul, let me tell you that this incidents will continue because you have an 18th century police force for a 21st century society, and the most primitive in terms of scientific investigation, use of technology. So you will never, I'm telling you, we will continue to have these kind of platitudes. People will keep talking about, nation should be together. This is it. You will never have it till you bring police reforms. And even the second part, the intelligence bureau, the research and analysis wing are not accountable to any organization. They're supposed to be accountable. Why don't you bring them like the US under the parliamentary committee so that we know what they do? But IB is used for for poll prediction. Most of the intelligence, a large percentage of intelligence bureau work also goes for political leaders to analyze what is happening. So you're never going to get any issues resolved unless you have a police reform. And you need to use modern methods of investigation. But let me, first of all, disappoint all of you by saying it's not going to happen. You're going to have continuously people dying. And the other aspect, you see, every time people die in an event, we don't have a standardized policy for the victims. Some state government announces treatment, some gives 1 lakh. Why does it, today in the parliament I had mentioned that, why don't we sit and make rules for, standard rules for people who are victims of crime? We have never, for so many years, we have not even, victims of terrorism, we have not even defined it. We don't have time for it. So, we keep saying nation should be one. It just takes the parliament to draft rules on compensation of victims for treatment, job compensation, etc. Fix it so that at least because look, we are not going to be able to catch anybody. The NIA has singularly failed to detect any case till now. I mean, all the bomb blasts till now, there has been total failure. So, and the intelligence information,
no, but I'm sorry.
India says that we inform the state.
Ajay, when you say that this will continue happening, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. I want to go across to Madhu Yashki, because when all these parliamentarians come and tell us, Madhu, that nothing can be done, the problem will remain, the next blast will happen, and yet we'll be discussing the same thing. I'm sorry, in India, that's not an acceptable answer. There must be an answer, there must be a solution. All parliamentarians should get together and find a solution instead of indulging in such politicking.
I agree, Rahul. That's what we need to be done now. Instead of just paying a ritual condolences in the parliament, though we spoke in one voice today in the parliament, but that's it there. So let's not end there. We will take it up. I'll work with Ajay to another parliamentarian. Let's continuously work together. Whether whichever party in the government, we need to work with the governments here and make policies and system change here. We paid an heavy price. We lost the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, and thousands of people.
If I were to pull out the center stage of the last blast and play it out right now, it would just sound the same. You know, this is exactly what other people the day after the previous blast would have said. How long will we sit back, suffer, bleed and not do anything about it?
Rahul, that's why I think people also should raise here. Raise their voice here.
Yes, Siddharth.
Go ahead.
Rahul, if I can. Yeah. Rahul, I think my good friend Dr. Ajay Kumar misunderstood. I think what I was trying to say is that we all understand what the problems are. We are not finding, we need to find solutions. When we talk about, he's talking about technology, yes, we do need to. When we talk about, he was talking about NIA. NIA, there's nothing wrong with NIA. But at the end of the day, it is understaffed. NIA doesn't have technology. They have a problem with, they don't have enough funds to buy the technologies for training and all those things. So similarly, we have always spoken about NCTC, but there is a mistrust between the center and certain states which are not ruled by the Congress. So all these things needs to be addressed together, not in a piecemeal, and then say that we will not bring vote bank politics into this terrorism, bringing solution to terrorism. I think that's where we all need to stand together. And in the parliament is in session. Sushma Swaraj was very eloquently, she said all those things. Even yesterday, the first reaction from our party president was not to have a blame game, but let's work together to find and give a solution so that India doesn't face this kind of terrorist attack.
But Dr. Kiran Bedi,
kind of
you spoke of competitive policing earlier. There's also clear distrust between the state and the center, which would not allow a radical proposal like NCTC to go through, which would help India nab these terrorists before they strike. How can this bridge, this gap between, between the center and the state be bridged? How do you bring them together? How do you get them to put national security above politics? Otherwise, we'll be back discussing the same thing next time as well.
Well, if the party in power wants this, this is the time for them to call for an all-party meeting, put this back on the agenda. Now that you are in the parliament session, put it back on the agenda. I think let's test it, whether the parties are sincere in wanting a national body. Because unless you have a national body, unless you have a national grid of everyone arrested through biometrics, to identify through fingerprints, through DNA, unless we put technology in place of anybody arrested for whichever offense, how would I, sitting in a police station, know who do I have before me when I'm arresting? Unless I use technology. Because he will use a false name, he will give you a false address, and he will, in interrogation, you cannot have his custody. You don't have any scientific techniques to find out the truth. Technology, biometrics, your fingerprints, your DNA is the only answer. So unless you start feeding all this record on a person arrested through technology, it's like feed in, feed out. You feed nothing in, how would you get anything out? How would you blame a poor constable and an ordinary police station in a remote area in West Bengal to know who was he? Unless he was using technology, does he have access to a computer? Can he feed it? Is he trained in it? Does he have this? The point is, if the party in power is serious and the opposition parties are serious and the parliamentarians are serious, put this back on the agenda straight away and see who opposes it and who doesn't. Because this country needs a national grid. Anybody is arrested, I should be, even as a constable with a small computer on the road, know how many traffic offences this man has committed. Where was he arrested in the past? What is his history sheet? Unless you have this technology in place, you will criminals will continue to use these gaps and these vacuums. You cannot
No,
have
but how do we
separate
bridge
computers
this trust
for separate
deficit,
police stations.
Ajay? How do we bridge this trust deficit? The fact that laws in the past have been misused by government, so there is a very legitimate reason for the states not to trust the center.
First question, Rahul, is I think it's overhyped about trusting the center or not trusting the center. First of all, like Dr. Bedi has said that look, you need a national grid, and this first of all, let's look at it from a execution perspective. The Congress is in power in the center. They have lots of state government in Andhra Pradesh and all. We can start off as a step one, and then rest of them, whether the non-Congress government wants to follow it or not. But the issue is, I think it is overhyped in terms of, the NCTC will be a center like the way the West Bengal government had raised it earlier. The fact is that the political class and the bureaucratic class don't want to make a professional police. The terrorism is a part of the problem, but larger thing would be corruption and everything else. So if you have an efficient police system, then it will lead to other things. So they might make the right sound about terrorism, but it is, so you need to have the police, like Dr. Bedi said, technology, you need to have the police reforms, and you need to implement this ASAP, because otherwise things are going to get, you are going to continuously hear this story.
Okay, Ashish, very quickly before I end the first part of our debate,
Yeah.
what do we know about Yasin Bhatkal at this time? Where is he? Do we have any idea about his particular role in this blast, and what is it that's being done to try and nab him now?
The last that we know about Yasin Bhatkal was that he was behind the Mumbai blast in 2011. So he had rented a house in Nagpada. He was living there along with Vakas and one more terror suspect. In fact, the Delhi Special Cell and IB had managed to plant a IB mole there in Indian Mujahideen. But again, because of the turf war between Mumbai ATS and Delhi Special Cell, that the Mumbai ATS spoiled Special Cell's operation. They went back and they arrested the IB mole just to show something that they were also doing something, and that's how the entire operation got botched up. Since then, we have had no clue of Yasin Bhatkal. All we that know that Yasin Bhatkal is going around raising new modules, raising finance, putting together new plots and carrying out more terrorist strikes. So not once, twice, because of internecine rivalry among our agencies and because of intelligence goof-ups, that Yasin Bhatkal has managed to get away. Once in Kolkata in 2009 and the second time in August 2011 in Mumbai.